So I'm gonna say his name or your name, Justin Andreas.
Nope.
Andres?
He didn't do that. Let's try again.
Andres.
And I'm gonna do. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna write this
like ANDREEZ.
Yep, I'm gonna write it that way on here, so I say it.
Ever thought about like making that? I feel like that's a good name for like a gel. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Between Two Coaches. We're on a mission to make fitness more human, snark sold separately. I'm Coach Amanda, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host,
Coach Nick. Thanks, everyone, for joining. We have a great episode today, but we also have a special guest, and it is Justin Andres. Oh, nope.
Put my thing down, flip it in reverse. Andres.
Andres. I even wrote it. I spelled it out.
I feel like we practiced that like at least 10 or 15 times.
Oh my gosh. Well, I panicked and I blew. But hello, Justin.
Hey, how's it going? Sorry, I got an abnormal heart rate going off on my Garmin already. So I must be stressed out about doing a podcast. This is weird.
If you listen to our last episode, we've decided that we're disabling all notifications if we haven't done so already on the Garmin. Okay, so
the phone's on silent, but the Garmin just ticked off. So it's the first one for me.
We'll allow that.
Well, we're going to have a great episode. We're going to talk about ultra running for newcomers. We're going to give out some listener love. We're going to answer a ultra running specific question. And we're going to air some grievances just for Justin. And we're going to air some grievances about run clubs, because who doesn't want to do that?
Sounds very exciting. Very, very exciting. Let's go over some real life, bringing people up to date. Justin, we'll start with you.
Yes.
How was your week? How was your day? What'd you do today?
Well, today I went out on a epic trail run. I've been wanting to do this route for a little while. I finally gained the courage to go do it. I've been suffering with an abductor thing on my leg, so I feel like I'm about 90% there, and I could, go do this 20 miler. So it had about 4,000 foot of gain in 20 miles. On a trail that not many people frequent. And so the trail's a little overgrown, the wind was blowing pretty crazy. It was raining pretty hard for the majority of the run. But it was such a great run. Awesome. Loved every bit of it. So that was 6 hours of my morning.
And so give the listeners, first of all, where are you located?
So I am in the interior of Alaska in Fairbanks. So I run up here in all seasons, winter and summer. Really have two. We call it winter and construction season. So you are, for those of you who are listening, you're like, who in the Alaskan hell is Justin? Justin, why don't you give us the brief and spectacular about who you are, what you do, and how we know each other? Well, hello, everyone. I am Justin Andreas. So that's how you say my name, by the way, Nick. So I've been running pretty consistently since 2017. I started running from a guy who talked me into running a half marathon. I caught the bug from the half and decided to do the full the next year. And I absolutely hated it. And I was like, why do people run marathons? This is awful. I picked up a couple podcasts from there and heard about this thing called ultra running, where people run on trails and they eat delicious snacks. And, they quote, end quote, if you can see this, power hike up the hills. And so and just enjoying a great day out on the trails with their friends. And I'm like, that's what I want to do. So I am active duty military in the Air Force. I was living on Guam when I did this marathon and half marathon. And then I transitioned to South Dakota, where I picked up trail running. And in turn, it just came naturally ultra running. I'm now stationed in Alaska. I've been here for almost 2 years. Since running my half marathon in 2017, I now have 4 100 milers, 2 100Ks, a handful of 50 milers, tons of 50Ks. 24-hour races, 12-hour races, you name it, I have done it up to 100 miles.
That is a lot of miles,
Yeah.
a lot of ultra running, but that sounds really awesome. I love how you talked about power hiking, because a lot of road runners, myself included, when we do an ultra run and we get to one of those, or an ultra running race, like we get to one of those really steep hills that aren't, possible on roads, and we try and run up it because we're like, we never stop on the roads, and we just run ourselves into the ground while people power hike past us because they're being more efficient.
Yeah.
It was one of the first things I learned.
I practice about every single week. I practice my power hiking. I have a 40-degree incline treadmill in my garage, and I get out there and I put it on 20 to 30 degrees, and I hike for a minimum of a mile. And that's, just getting that repetition down to be a good hiker. Because running 100-miler for someone who works, 40-hour weeks and doesn't run for a living, it's, I'm a back of the packer, mid to back of the packer. And so I have to be able to hike efficiently. So I can hike at a 15, 16-minute pace and keep that up for a long period of time. But you have to practice it. But yeah, I'll pass you guys every single time.
Yeah. We'll just keep trying. I'll just keep trying to run up it for no reason.
Well, that was good. That was good. It's as if you've done this before. Justin also has his own pod. You didn't say how we know each other, but I won't take it personally. I guess I can
sorry.
do that.
Sorry.
It's a lot of work being Justin's friend. It's a lot of work. So
she has to put up with me quite often, so that's fun.
It's true, and I choose this path. Justin and I met last year. We were both a part of the Brooks Running Collective, and became fast friends. And we are also, and I was on his podcast, which is the Golden Hour Adventures podcast. Highly, highly recommend everyone who's listening to this one, check out Justin's podcast. I just feel like every time I listen, I'm getting I'm reading a story about somebody, like I'm listening to an audiobook about somebody who I would have never had gotten in touch with had I not listened. Like, you interview such interesting people, average runners, above average runners. Everyone is so interesting to listen to on your podcast. And you also have professionals on there too. And sometimes you talk, which is nice.
Yeah, we do. We like to say that we're not a running podcast, even though 90% of our guests are runners. But we feature everyday people doing extraordinary things. And that's our tagline. So we like to talk to the people that are DFL, dead effing last. We like to talk to people who have been out on the trail for 34 hours on a 100-miler. Those are the stories that we want to hear. Of course, everyone hears the stories from, Courtney DeWalter and Jim Wamsley, and those are great stories. But I want to hear the story of the everyday athlete, the person out there crushing 100-milers that has 3 kids at home, that works a full-time job. And so those are the stories that we like to tell. We don't just tell runner stories. We've interviewed professional bronc riders. We've interviewed split boarders. You name it. Any kind of sport that's out there, we've probably interviewed. We just had a person on here that rides a mountain bike, but a unicycle. And so, we just have such cool athletes on the podcast. And yeah, it's a great podcast. We're coming up on 2 years. We drop an episode every Monday, and it's been a lot of fun. It's been a really cool journey.
That's awesome. I love telling those stories. Western States, the 30-hour mark when people are about to finish, the last finishers, is such a cool moment. All those people who don't always get, because people tune in and they watch the results, and then as the first people come in, they usually Twitter ties down, the live feeds dive down a little bit, but it picks up at Western States at the end right there. And a lot of those races where the cutoff is when it gets exciting again. Yeah,
we actually had the DFL from Western States last year on. And that was just such a cool story of she had 20 seconds before the cutoff when she walked across the finish line,
really
or ran across the finish line. So it was just really cool.
That's cool. Amanda, you had a fun week. We saw that you
Ditto.
did a long run with some friends and also maybe did a little TikTok reel video too that started trending everywhere.
We got a nice trend. Yeah, I think I got the girls squad. We got the girls squad together for our long run yesterday. I had 16/17. I run my long runs. I try to do it based on time. So my long run ended up being 17 miles. I had Treg, shout out to Treg and Vicky over at Train Smart Run Strong podcast.
Mr. Podcast.
Sister podcast.
Hey, I speaking of that, can we be your brother podcast? Because I haven't heard anyone say anything about a brother podcast.
Yet, so you're in.
Boom.
Yep. You're in the family immediately. Yes,
brother
Taking
podcast.
I like it. That sounds great. Yeah. So we had a great time. We ran up the West Side Highway, which is my favorite New York City run route, as y'all know. So we did that, and then we did a little bit of Central Park because Vicky wanted to have some of Central Park before she went back to Jersey City. So that's when we filmed our TikTok, and that's when the torrential downpour came down again, and Amanda had another at least hour to go for her run. And it was so peaceful. It's actually, I'm not the runner who runs in every kind of weather. Justin is much more brave than I. But I have to say, I'm really glad I did. I didn't put my headphones in. I normally call my mom to check up on her when she's in ShopRite. I didn't need to do any of that. It was so peaceful running in the rain. And yes, I was soaked. And yes, these are finally dry. Thanks, Brooks. But it was very worth it. So 17 miles, well spent. And we're going to do it again next weekend. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, that's awesome. It sounds like a great time. I also love running in the rain only once I'm wet. Like the first minutes, I'm like,
That makes
like if I
sense.
see a puddle on a run, I'll avoid it. And then once my foot gets wet, I'll run through every single puddle the rest of the run, no matter what.
We
Lots
were
to
wading
learn.
through knee-deep water today, so,
Yeah, we are not the same, Justin. We are not the same. I'm the one who Justin, when he gets white shoes, we're always grateful to get gear from Brooks. Always grateful.
But why are they always white?
He gets the white shoes. I keep the whites white. Justin's like, I think I'm being tested.
Yeah, immediately. Let's get them dirty.
That's funny.
So, and Nick, you had a good week. You had a good weekend.
I did. I did the opposite of you guys and took off the weekend. I just needed some time. I didn't run Saturday or Sunday. I just have been in a little bit of a funk and trying to break out. And I just relaxed, did some stuff with the family, and then did some coaching stuff today, and just took 2 days off. And I'll get back at it next week. And I'm feeling more motivated and excited. So we'll see where it takes us. But we almost bought a house, and then we didn't because someone else bought it before us, because that's how things work. But that's okay. We were to the point where we were excitedly getting it, we thought, and then we did not. So it's okay. But
as we say, on to the next one.
On to the next. So that's fine. So you'll still get this nice blue background in my room. But yeah,
I don't hate
it was a good week. Otherwise, yeah, just cruising along. An exciting week here.
Love that. I think we have a listener love question. Let's get into it for Justin. This one comes from our Brooks family member.
Oh no.
Loch Ness Monster. Shout out. So Loch Ness Monster goes, I think I'm pronouncing the name, his Instagram handle correctly. If not, correct me. Love to be corrected. Am I the only one who packs a toothbrush? 6+ hours is a long time for energy gels in the mouth. Ooh, this is a good question.
I like it. I brush my teeth during races. It is very refreshing to get the gunk off of your teeth. I don't usually do it in a 6-hour race or 6-hour run, but in a 100-mile or anything over kind of nighttime, 24-hour 100K, I'll brush my teeth. And so I'm not taking only gels. I'm taking all kinds of stuff. It's, mostly candy and Coke and just junk food and carbs. And so you just get a funk on your teeth, and it's kind of just like a palate reset to get in there and just brush your teeth and reset it. I usually just use the little travel ones, the little travel ones you have that from the airport or something. I just use those because it's just super easy rather than packing a whole toothbrush and going through the whole thing. But a lot of ultra runners do it. They brush their teeth because your mouth just gets used to this certain taste, and it just gets gross after a while. And so yeah, very, very common. Very, very common.
Yeah, 9 out of 10 dentists would agree with you should brush your teeth. So you're right on board.
Yeah, I think I think I would be judging if you didn't. I think that you just want to feel fresh at a certain point, right?
Well, I mean, you smell everywhere else, so at least your breath is somewhat refreshed because, you smell terrible.
Right. It's probably also not like your ultra race or when you're training for your ultra marathon. It's probably also not a good time to test all natural deodorants. I would say that's another pro tip, right?
No, yeah. Well, it's funny you asked that. I'm the worst about testing new stuff on race day because why not, right? And so, I'm going to be out there for 30 hours. So testing something new is okay. I've taken shoes out of the box and put them on the morning of race day. I will say that I've never had anything like fuel wise that I have never tried before. So fuel wise, I've never done that. But new clothes, new shoes, new boot goofing. Who's this? But I try new stuff all the time. Have fun with it. That's what life's all about. Having fun. Why are we taking things so serious? Go out there and have fun.
It's true. Just brush your teeth and
brush your teeth.
Deodorant,
all natural deodorant. If you want to try it on race day, go for it. Who cares?
It's a good way to keep people away from you.
It's better than no deodorant, though, right?
That's true.
It could be. I'm
so you could go opposite here.
Not sure. That was a great question. Love it. We have a review this week, Coach Nick.
We do. I'll read it. I like reading words. Our review is from a Jackie Sherles, who's my friend from Baltimore. Hi, Jackie. Thanks for the review. And it's
Jackie.
And it says, really loving the podcast, guys. Amanda, thanks for bringing the sass and keeping it real. Nick, obviously, always appreciate your honesty and compassion. You two are an excellent balanced duo, a little spicy, a little sweet. Keep the content coming. We'll be supporting you always. And that's super sweet. And that comes from a Buy Me a Coffee, a review from Jackie. So thank you so much, Jackie. We really appreciate it.
And thank you for supporting us. Buy Me a Coffee link is in mine and Nick's bio. I think it's also in the show notes here on the podcast. It is. Our in-house tech guru, otherwise known as Coach Nick, says it is. So thank you so much for supporting us, supporting the pod. And we need all the support we can get because we're about to grieve about run clubs, maybe in general, but specifically about what Coach Nick wanted to bring up was how the run club is turning into the dating club. Tell us more, Coach Nick.
I will. And I think everyone has a grievance here about Run Club, so we can all kind of share our own Run Club related grievance. But mine is essentially around this. There was a New York Times article talking about run clubs being new dating clubs. And I took offense because I feel like we're about to go. So I'm annoyed because we're going down a slippery slope that is dangerous and going to only have bad things occur versus good things. I think it's great that people show up at run clubs. If you meet someone there that you gel with, male, female, whatever vibe you want, and you want to hang out with, and you want to pursue outside of the run club on your own runs, or even do friendships or whatever afterwards, that's fine. But I think when we start calling run clubs dating clubs, we start objectifying everyone there. And all this is going to lead to is terrible, terrible things where people are going to show up to this thing where they just are trying to meet some friends and push their athletic pursuits. And we're already a sport that come the summer, we are not the most clothed people. So last thing we need is people talking about our bodies in certain ways, because that's what will happen when we come here. Everyone's going to, oh, look at that person, look at that person. And then people who come here who just want to work out, who just want to, crush the long run with some faster people or get pulled along. And all of a sudden now they're feeling, oh, well, someone's trying to hit on me in the middle of a run. Like, no one wants that. Like, absolutely not. No one wants to be like, it's that whole thing about getting proposed to and you win a race or at your finish line. Like, get out of here with that. No one wants that. Like, let's not. So, like, it's okay if people date from run clubs, but when we start linking them together, we are going to create an environment where males or females are not going to want to come to these run clubs because they're going to be seen as these, oh, this is where I get hit on, or this is where the guys are always hit, like, or the whatever, right? I'm not going to pick a gender, but you can imagine which gender. But so, like, where it's going to be, people are going to feel uncomfortable at run clubs when the whole point of it is supposed to be a community building event to help people chase their goals and have fun in a safe and
I agree with you. Justin, is this something has this hit Alaska yet? Has this hit Alaskan territory?
I don't think we get the New York Times out here, so I'm not sure if that's a thing. I don't know. I've been married for 16 years, so that's not a thing in my household. We both go to run group, but we show up together. That's definitely not a thing. I have my own quarrels about run groups, but yeah, the dating scene. Yeah, but I have friends that have met that are dating, and even gotten married and met through run groups. So,
that makes
I would
sense.
say the caveat to that is, like, you want to find someone who has similar interests to you, right? And how else are you going to find someone who enjoys also going out for long runs on the weekends and, and spending time out on the trails, or for you guys, the road, but I think a run group may be a good place to find someone with similar interests to that. And so, I've never heard of it being the dating club. I don't think anyone currently in my run group dates, but maybe, I don't know. I don't pay attention to that. I'm usually in the back just hanging out.
As you should. I've read the piece, and I think that if there is an opportunity, and I actually know somebody who created an app, I don't know where it's at, but it's a fitness app or a fitness group that creates experiences for singles. So, like, that's different. So that's like, hey, I'm into fitness and I'm single. Maybe you're sober and you're not going to the bar to meet somebody. Maybe you don't want to meet somebody online. Whatever your reason, to Justin's point, that you're going to have something in common with this person because you both enjoy fitness. And here is a curated experience. I think that that's fine. But otherwise, if it's a natural fit and you're able to spark up a conversation with somebody in your run group and you guys date, great. But to have already, I guess, existing or established run clubs decide that they want to lean into this, that can be murky. So
yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, that I would say that's that weird shit. I don't know if that's that bullshit. I would say that's that weird shit.
That's that weird shit soundbite coming soon.
That's my professional opinion. Anything else on run clubs, or are we ready to dive in, special guest? You're the special one.
It. Oh, I'm special. Oh.
Yeah, you are. You're so special.
Let's dive in.
Yeah. So we have a couple of things we wanted to talk about and questions that have come up from other runners in the space, but this is going to be a very fluid conversation. If you're new to ultra running, this is the perfect place to start. I guess our first question is, Justin, what makes up ultra running and why do you love it? Why does the ultra running community love it? And talk to us a little bit about races, that sort of thing.
Well, you just hit the nail on the head right there. It's the community. there's no other running group like it. The trail and ultra running group. And so when I say trail and ultra running, there are sub ultra trail runs, and they're becoming more popular. So you have trail marathons, trail half marathons. So there's trail running and then there's ultra running, but the two kind of mingle really closely together. So, and there's also road ultra marathons. And so I think it's just that community that just brings everyone together. You have your people that are going to start in the front of the line, front of the, starting line, and they're going to finish in the front. You have your people that are going to be in the middle and then people in the back. Everyone is there to support everyone. It's just such a cool environment. I remember being at a 100-miler and there was an elite there. And I went up and talked to them, and we had a conversation, and I just thought that was such a cool thing. And, I watched the Boston Marathon because I'm intrigued by it. I have my issues with it, just like everyone else does. But, I watch the elites run it, and it's like, I think with 30,000 people, there's never even a chance that you get to see that person if you're a mid to back of the packer. But in an ultra run, there's maybe 200-300 people that run the race, and so like you can walk up to the front and starting line and start in the front if you want to. I just think it's just so cool that everyone just like is there encouraging everyone. When you pass someone on a trail, if it's on an out and back, everyone's like, great job, keep going, you're doing great. It's just such a cool community, and that's why I like it. It's like, you don't really understand that until you go do it. And if you go do a trail race or an ultra, you'll understand, and you'll just be hooked, and you're like, no offense, but why have I been running on the road this whole time when I could have been doing this? So yeah, it's a lot of fun. Races. What do you want to know about races?
Yeah, talk to us a little bit about. Yeah, go ahead, Nick.
I was gonna say, like, what maybe for the audience, like, what constitutes, in your, at least your eyes, like an ultra race, like, because like, a lot of people will think, oh, 50K and up, right? And that's probably right, but like you said, there's trail races that happen that are marathon or shorter distances that are considered ultra running because they're either highly technical or just fast or downhill blasting trails or things like that, right? That fall into the ultra running community, the envelope of ultra running versus like road running.
I can see that. That's kind of like saying I ran a 5K marathon, right? And so anything over a marathon is considered an ultra. And so like, yeah, I ran a marathon a couple months ago, and it was a 26.5-mile route. Did I run an ultra in my mind? No. But if I go run a 6-hour race and I get 28 miles, I'm over a marathon. That's considered an ultra marathon. Your standard distances are 50K, 50-mile, 100K, 100-mile plus, 200 being the next kind of big one. But yeah, anything over a marathon is considered an ultra marathon. So you do have to peak over that marathon distance to be an ultra marathoner.
Yeah. And I think like, I think the big thing, for people is there's big differences. It's not just you're running for the marathon. Like some people in the road, some people may run 3 hours, 3.5 in a marathon. On a lot of these 50K, all of a sudden it's not they're highly technical, and all of a sudden a 3.5-hour race becomes a 7-hour, 8-hour race for what's more really 5 more miles, less than 5 more miles. Changes literally everything you do, how you fuel, how you run, how you exist for that long in a training state. So it's just interesting. Like I think one of the big differences is just like how people, when they come up from the marathon, because I think a lot of runners, when they start, they do the marathon and they want a new challenge, and they're like, oh well, I just want to do whatever's longest, so now I'll do a 50K, and don't understand the big, and maybe you could talk about it, the big differences from going up from the marathon to the ultra. You can find a flat one, probably. It's the fun in that is low, I guess, compared you're just running a road race on a trail, but like you're really just adding in a lot more time. And
I'm laughing because that was literally me to Justin. I'm like, Justin, if we're picking an ultra for me, can we just can it be flat? He's like negotiating with me.
Absolutely not. We're gonna go out. And we're gonna do some.
I'm gonna look in this area. He's like,
we're gonna get dirty and verty, and that's gonna be
No,
that's
I'm
gonna
wearing
be your
white
first
shoes.
one.
I'm wearing white shoes.
I mean, you can wear white all you want. They're gonna be brown when you get done, but.
Yeah. So yeah. Oh, So the biggest differences, yeah, let's go into that.
Yeah, a lot of people that run a marathon, and I've been asked this question quite often. It's like, it's only 5 more miles, but 5 more miles could be 2,000 more feet of elevation gain, right? And so you have to take an account of the elevation gain. There's a 50K taking place either this weekend or next weekend called the Speed Goat 50K.
Oh yeah.
It has 11,000 feet of climb in a 50K. So yeah, it's just 5 more miles over a marathon, but throwing in 11,000 feet of climb is huge, right? And so you're climbing up and over a ski hill twice in Utah. So it's not just 5 more miles. There's so many elements that are out there. And so I don't know how to go. I love getting verti, man. That's my favorite thing, is going out and just crushing vert. I love it. And every trail runner likes to compare their vert, but I've ran a 25-mile race that had 6,000 foot of climb in it. So 25 miles, that's essentially a marathon, right? A little bit less, but there's no way that I compare my marathon time to that 25-mile with 6,000 foot of gain on trails, right? They're not even close. I don't really care about times anyways, but they're not even close. And so it's hard. And I think that the person coming from the marathon world, that is your typical road runner jumping into trails, I've noticed, we haven't mentioned this yet, but I'm also a coach. I've noticed when I coach the newbie 50K runners, they have a hard time accepting that run is going to take them 8 hours. And, there's 3,000 to 4,000 feet of gain in your race. It's going to take you 6 to 8 hours to do this race. And I think they have a hard time wrapping their head around being out there for 8 hours. You're going to be out there in the middle of the day when it's 100 degrees outside. It might storm on you while you're out there. You're going to be climbing up and over passes, and you're going to be 100% exposed to the heat and the sun the whole time. All of those factors have to play into it. No offense to marathon. I just love marathoners. I don't know why. It's just fun. But I've seen a lot of races get canceled. A lot of marathons get canceled. They don't cancel ultras. They're just like, send it. Let's go. It's going to hail on you. It's going to thunder and lightning. It's going to be 110 degrees outside. We're still going to run this race. And so you got to throw all of those factors in, and I think that's just really hard to wrap your head around. But
what is it
if
that
you get over caring about time and just go out and have fun on the trails and with the community, you're going to have a great time and an awesome experience.
Yeah, what's it, the Pikes Peak Marathon in Colorado that goes up to the top of Pikes Peak? I remember reading and even hearing stories of like lightning bolts would like hit, and they had people stop, and like people could see like lightning bolts hitting the side of the mountain, but the race is still going on. Like they're just
that's a 7,000 foot of climb in that race, and you climb 7,000 foot in the first half marathon. So you climb up Pikes Peak for 13 miles, and then you run back down for 13 miles.
It's crazy.
We actually interviewed a guy on our podcast who is a very fast masters marathoner, and he went out and ran that race, and he got humbled very, very quickly. And so, 7,000 foot in the first 13 miles. Amazing.
Yeah, I think your points, verts for sure. I think a lot of marathoners, all we're trying to do is find not only the fastest course, but now the most downhill course. So instead of getting 5,000 feet we might get 5,000 feet of vert, but ours is negative. Like it's the opposite of vert. It's devert. We're trying to run down the side of a mountain and get the fastest time we can get. And then we're calling it our PR because why not? So, I think time-wise is a big deal, but there's also because you're out there so much longer, it's fueling, right? Like I think at this level, even in the marathon, people struggle to hit 60 grams of carbs an hour. And I remember seeing from Western states, there was a good, post out about the top 10 men and women, and they were all averaging 100 grams of carbs for their 14-hour race an hour, 90, 100 grams. And
it's impressive.
Yeah. And we're struggling. A lot of marathoners are struggling, and we survive because it's a 2 to 3 hour race. So we're 4-hour race, 5-hour race, but we're getting to the finish line barely. But now you're out here for 8-9 hours. You cannot play that deficit game. It's how much do you work with runners to really amp up what they're doing when they come from the roads to the trails?
Yeah, that's a great question. we work really hard on nutrition because nutrition is what will make or break your race. If you're running 100-miler, and I know we're talking, beginner racing is 50K, but you're running 100-miler, you're going to be out there for 25 to 30 hours, right? If you're going to be running a 50K, first 50K, if it's a trail 50K, 6 to 8 hours, right? You're used to running a 4 to 5 hour marathon. Now you're bumping it up to 8 hours on trails with all those factors we just talked about. We really have to dial in our nutrition. And that's something that really has to be taken the precedence of even above like getting in training. You can go out and BS your way through a 50K, in my opinion, with a lot of fitness and great nutrition. And so I take my athletes and I'm like, hey, what's your nutrition plan? What are we doing? We break it down hour by hour. I'm a high carb athlete. Today's run, 20 miles, 6 hours. I was shooting for 80 to 100 grams of carbs per hour. I do that through gels, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, chips, you name it. The reason I do that is because when I'm out there on my next 100, I have a nutrition plan, but what happens when that falls apart? What's my B plan? What happens when my B plan falls apart? What's my C plan? And so I'm trying to train the gut to be able to handle all of these different food groups. So peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, ham and cheese sandwiches. That sounds gross, right?
Yeah.
Chips, candy, Pop-Tarts, you name it. And so I talk to my athletes and I tell them, I said, hey, let's try all these different things and let's see what works for you and what doesn't. Gels are a great way to get that quick energy and that quick carbohydrates into you. But what happens when that fails after 5 hours into an 8-hour race? What are you going to do? And so, me having that experience and being the back of the pack ultra runner, I know how to suffer for 35 hours. That's my long distance PR, by the way. And so I'm able to help these guys out and these gals out in running for a long period of time and fueling your body on that run.
Unbelievable. Did you mention yet what, when and what your next race is?
I did not.
Okay. We can keep it.
No, I don't care.
Special
I haven't
sneak preview here.
Yeah, I'll give you the sneak preview for everyone that listens to this. I have not told anyone this. I was going to keep it a secret, but you guys asked, so I'll go ahead and tell you. On August 24th, I'll be running the Oregon Cascades 100. So, yeah.
Well,
I know,
I'm going to
it's
see you
insane.
like right after. Are you going to have are you okay?
Yeah, it'll be a week later. I may not be running, so.
We can sit down. We can sit together.
We'll be limping. I think I actually, these big races, the more you do them, the more experience you have, you learn how to recover better from them. And so I think I'll be okay a week later. I may not be running long distances, but 3 to 4 miles. I think I'll be okay.
Again, it's fine. We can sit. It's okay. Chicago is a great city to sit in. That's where I'm seeing Justin next in Chicago.
Perfect.
In September.
It's going to be awesome.
It's going to be great. I love sitting down. Okay, perfect. That sounds, it's very exciting, guys. Don't tell anyone if you're listening to this. Don't tell anyone.
Sneak peek.
We get all this secret information on this podcast. You got to listen.
Wow.
I'm chasing my 5th buckle.
Wow. So you've done 5 100-milers. Is
4.
That what that
this
means?
will be my 5th 100.
This will be your 5th. Okay.
Well, this will be my 5th 100-mile buckle. I have 100K buckles.
What's that? Is a buckle from under 24 hours, or is it just finishing, or how do they work?
Well, how much time do you got? No. So Western States is the oldest trail run, right? And it's created from a horse race. So in equestrian sports, if you do an event, you get a belt buckle. So the person that created the Western States 100 was a horse racer who got belt buckles from completing those events. And one year his horse went lame. He had to walk his horse in on the trail. And he's thought, well, why not create a race that you run on foot for this entire Western States 100-miler, right?
It's like a stupid idea.
And so the belt buckle just kind of came along with it. And it's just become tradition that when you finish a 100 miler, your prize is not a medal; it's a belt buckle, and so they look fancy like this.
Got it. So whatever the race's finishing cutoff time is, the belt buckle's awarded for
The
finishing
belt
under
buckle
that.
is awarded. They do typically have a sub 24 belt buckle that's a
Oh,
little bit different.
okay.
It might say just like sub 24 on it, but
Got it.
we're never going to get one of those, so we're not worried about that.
Do you wear it out? Are you putting it on your jeans? What's going on?
First off, I never wear jeans because those are gross. But yes,
Justin
I wear my buckles
strongly opposes
everywhere.
hard pants.
I wear my buckles
Strongly
everywhere. I
opposed.
love my buckles. I'm showing them off. I'm not showing them off. I am
Where
wearing
do
my
you
belt
clip it? On your
buckle.
fanny pack? Where do you put it?
No, like I wear pants. Don't get me wrong. I wear like hiking type pants. I don't wear like jeans because I can't move around in jeans. I don't know. I just have this like anti-jeans movement thing going on. I'm the only one involved in this movement, but I do have this movement going on. So, yeah, no, I wear them on a normal belt like any other person. I'm not wearing like Wrangler jeans and cowboy boots and a cowboy hat with my belt buckles. I got like I drive a Subaru and I wear my hiker pants.
Love those Subarus.
I'm your typical, trail runner.
Got all my questions answered.
There you go. There you
All
go.
the questions answered. So you would say one of the hardest things for runners who are moving up in the distance to navigate is nutrition. So
Yep.
It sounds like it's really, really important, and that I know you've personally also worked with a registered dietitian to dial in your nutrition, a sports dietitian to dial in your nutrition for your races. So that sounds like it's really important for runners. Are there any other things that you see marathoners or just shorter than the ultra distance struggle with going into the ultra? You mentioned something about time and how that's hard for a lot of runners. I think that is across the board. Runners have a hard time detaching themselves from the numbers when it comes to running. We also see it with marathoners when it comes to their easy pace. Oh, my easy pace has slowed down. Oh, look at, and they don't recognize
my 6-minute easy pace.
Justin, I love that. We love that. We love the easy pace when
Come run
when we
6
see-
easy miles with me. First mile, 6:50.
my easy pace just happens to be faster than Eliud Kipchoge. I don't know how
Yeah.
that happened.
That's one thing I tell all my athletes all the time. It's like, Eliud Kipchoge's easy pace is like 8-minute miles, right? And they're like, well, I'm like, oh, okay, so apparently you're better than him. So I love humbling people. Yeah, there's a lot of things that are tough to kind of get over when you're jumping into that world, right? The trail and ultra world. So coming from the half marathon, jumping into the 50K, 50-mile realm of things. So I've seen people that run from a half marathon out to 100 miler. So you name it. It's not, a lot of people don't take that transition that, the 50K, 50 mile, 100K, they jump all over the place. So I skipped the 100K and went back and got it a couple years later. But yeah, so jumping into a 50K, 50 miler, some of the hard things I think are the time, getting over, hey, it's going to take you 8 hours for a 50K. It might take you 10 to 12 hours for a 50 miler. Like understanding how long that's going to be out there, learning how to fuel your body for 12 hours on a 50 miler, not pausing your watch. We don't pause our watch in trail running. And I think that's a hard thing for road runners to get over too. And I love making fun of, like, you can tell a road runner on a trail run is when they pause their watch. That's something they come into the aid station and pause their watch, but the time keeps going, right? Even in a marathon, right? The time keeps going. So why are you pausing your watch? I don't get it.
We don't want our pace to go
understand that at
higher.
all.
We got to keep our
What's
pace.
that?
We got to keep our average pace down. So
Yes.
that's
Yeah, but if you stop at a stoplight, do you pause your watch?
I
I
don't.
obviously am jogging in place.
Yeah, we got to jog in
excessively.
place.
Yeah,
You don't want to
exactly.
your
You're
heart rate
jogging your
drop.
pace. I don't know. I leave my watch running the whole time because I want to see like my time on feet, my overall
Yeah, I don't
pace,
I don't
right?
pause either. But I'm
Amanda-
also not normal. I know.
We're these people. We're these people. Hey,
I know.
I stopped my watch on like 4.99 because I'm those people
Oh, I
because
do
I
that
don't
all the
round up to
time.
5.
It just makes
Yeah, I
people
love that.
angry.
Yeah,
I
fuck
love
around
the
and
people
find
that run
out.
in the parking lot, but yeah, anyway, pausing their watch, learning how to fuel for those long times, learning how to power hike. Nick and I kind of discussed that a little bit, but learning how to just like stop and walk up the hill, because you're going to save so much energy walking up the hill as opposed to trying to run up it. And with these races, some of these climbs are a couple miles long. I mean, just on this trail run I did today, the first climb was 1,700 feet and it was 2.5 miles long. There's no
Wow.
way that I would have been able to finish a 20 miler if I ran up that first. I'd be dead by the time I got up to the top. I'd be dead.
Yep.
And that was a false summit too, by the way. I was like, dang it. There's like 8 false summits. I hate those. But yeah, learning how to slow down a little bit, walk up the hills. Like, no one cares. Everyone's doing it. Just walk up the hills. It's great. Cheater poles. Cheater poles are a great one. Cheater sticks. I'm very pro using cheater sticks. I love my bright pink Lecky poles. I rep them on every single run that I do.
What are they? What are you talking about? It's just like if you guys are watching this video, you're gonna see me. Is it
Yeah.
like just
Yeah,
like
it's your hiking poles, like your
Okay.
typical hiking poles, but they're made for trail runners. So they're actually trail running specific hiking poles.
nice?
So Black Diamond has them, Lecky has them. So, there's a bunch of different
And
companies
they
that
fold
make.
up real nice, right?
They do. They fold up
Yeah.
super nice. They tri-fold so you can carry them like
Oh,
my pack
cute.
has where I can carry them up front. So yeah, they're great. But everybody, there's a lot of people out there, the elitists, like, oh, you're using cheater sticks. Well, Courtney DeWalter uses them. So
Yeah.
are you telling me she's not a runner either, or what?
Yeah, I mean, when these people just show how sick they are with elitism, I'm just like, get well soon, bitch, because I'm really, if you want to be a part of something that is exclusive, like you could start your own Run Club Date Club then.
Yeah.
And for the rest of us, we're going to hang out in a community that has fun. Because if, like you said earlier, if you're not having fun, what's the point?
Yeah, what's the point? This is a hobby. Then I think that's what people
Right.
forget about. It's a hobby. You're not doing this for your job. Well, Amanda might be, but
Yeah.
I'm not. This is not my job. My hobby is going out and running. I'm not doing it for a job. So like, I don't understand why people take it so serious and it has to be like, if I don't hit these paces, I had a terrible run. You still ran 15, 20 miles. Like, that's great. You know how many people can
Amazing.
do that, or how many people can't do that? Like,
I know. It's so true. I mean, it's perspective. It's why I always help bring people as coaching is just that perspective of like what they're doing, how far they've come, those types of things. And I think interesting conversation points about struggling from moving up to ultras. So I had a phase in 2016 where I went from marathoning and I was like, you know what, let's take the next step. And so I ran a 50K with no idea what I was doing in the middle of summer and was vastly unprepared for it. And then I did JFK 50 miler and
awesome.
which is like, one of the call it the easier 50Ks, 50 milers because it's like 26 miles.
Yeah, but it's
flat.
also one of the oldest in the
is,
US.
But
so
it's super like
it's,
you run a marathon on a rail trail, so it's awesome. But like I made a lot of those mistakes. I definitely did. This was 2016, so fueling information was not vastly as available as it is now. But I also like went out and Jim Walmsley was there and like a bunch of other really fast people, and he took off and I knew not to run with him. But Roadrunner coming to trails, I'm like, all right, well, you run up 2 miles straight up road hill in the beginning, so it's runnable, and then we get to a fire hill and everyone's power hiking, and I'm like, no, I'll just keep running. And so I ran through that. And then I ran the first part, the only part of really technical trails is the Appalachian. I ran it super hard. I thought I was keeping it easy, but I just kept passing people. And I'm like, I'm having an A day. Like, I'm doing it. And like, I get to 26, 27, and all of a sudden I just bonk like crazy. Didn't have enough, like, I definitely wasn't taking enough gels, but like, this was like hitting the point of like the furthest I've ever gone. And my pace went from like where it was to like 2-3 minutes. And like, but like to all your points of why trail running is super cool and super fun is I got to the aid station and my friends were there and they had woken up at 4 a.m. to come out and crew me. Even though you don't really need a crew 50 miler, I needed support. And they were like convinced me to like, they're like, we got up at 4 a.m. You're going to finish this race.
Yeah.
And they're like, you're not stopping. I'm like, all right, I was going to stop, but okay. And so they got me back out, and a lot of walking and like, jog walk. And I got to another aid station, and some friend I knew from high school was there, and she like amped me up and gave me some cookies and some Coke, like, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna do it. And when I got to the next aid station where my crew was at 38, I was like a totally different person. I was like, I'm gonna finish this thing, even though my pace is like 3 minutes slower than it used to be. But it was like all that supportive people there. Everyone passed me, cheered me on. Every aid station, people were going crazy for you and handing you random things to eat. And I was like, I don't care. I'll have a cookie. I don't really know what I'm doing anymore. My race is already done, but so I'll eat whatever you have. So yeah, it was, but like all those points of like going out too hard, like obviously working too hard on a trail portion of a race, like, not fueling enough, not like, respecting how far the distance is or how long I'd be out there, all the mistakes I made. But like I finished, and like, because I went through such a dark place, I came back to the marathon with like a new perspective of like, oh, I think this is hard. Look where I was, a year ago, and I was in this hell in the middle of, 31 miles into a marathon or a 50 miler. And it's also fun to like be in a car and be like, hey kids, Daddy drove as far as we're driving today, or Daddy ran as far as we're driving today. And they're like, what? Yeah. So
I don't even like to drive that far.
So
That's
cool.
awesome. What were your thoughts coming from the road running community going to the trail community, as far as, like in the road running community, like I feel like no one really talks to each other. They just run and then they're done. Where you might link up with someone and run with them for 5 or 6 miles and know their life history by the time you're done.
Yeah.
So what was your experience with the community?
Yeah, it was cool during the race. During the 350s Ks I did, there was always someone. During the JFK, there was like a group of us who packed up on the trails, and someone was telling his whole life story. He was out from California. I still remember so many of the details, but like just sharing, talking, having a great time. And so I met a bunch of people that race. Like later on, I didn't, because I was just, I was further. I was way out where I was so far out in front where I was supposed to be, that when I was dying, everyone was just passing me, like flying by me because I was so slow.
Yeah.
So like there was no one to really latch on to or be like, let's talk and be friends. I'm like, no, I'm dead and you're having a great day. So like I didn't get that later, but like
those power hikers.
Yeah. But like every time, like post race was super fun, and like, just hanging out with people, everyone's very talkative and chatty. And like even the 50Ks I did Hat 50K is one in Maryland. It's more vert, a lot more than that. And so like everyone hangs out afterwards and has like a party at a little hut, and like no one even cares what place anyone got. No one even knows. They're just hanging out for hours, having this party for like 6-7 hours after the race. So it's like people wait for people to finish. People are finishing so many hours apart. So that doesn't happen in road races. Like people finish the race, they get their mail at the finish line. They're like, I need to get out of here. Like I'm gone. Like,
yeah.
Boilermaker was today. That's like the only one I really see there as like a party at the race that people actually hang out with. So many of them, it's just like, we're out of here.
Yeah, that's one thing. I'm glad you mentioned that. I forgot to bring that up. The first time I went to a 100-mile race was the Bighorn 100. A friend of mine was running it, and I got to the finish line. He was coming into the finish line, and there was about 1,000 people out there, like just people that had already finished the race, people just coming out to cheer people on, and like every single person that would run down, they kind of have this little chute thing before they cross the finish line. Everybody would just like cheer on everybody. The 50Ks would come through, people would cheer those guys on, but the 100-milers would come through and everybody would like lose their freaking mind. And I just thought that is so cool that everybody just sticks around and cheers everybody on until the very end. And so like that was my second 100, because I'm like, I want to be a part of this. I want to experience this. I came through the chute, everybody's losing their mind. It was just so cool. And like you mentioned Western States, there's more people at the finish line for the 30-hour golden hour than there are for the first, second, third place podium runners. And even the podium runners come back and cheer on the golden hour finishers, the golden hour being the last hour of a race. So my hour 29 to hour 30, that's the golden hour. But yeah, I mean, the whole stadium is full of people, and it's just so exciting to watch. And it's really cool to experience that. You're definitely going to get cheered on when you go do an ultra.
Yeah, I'm unfortunately, I'm convinced.
Fortunately.
Oh, Amanda's doing one, and she's going to announce right now which one she's doing.
Thinking.
Amanda, tell everyone which 50K you're doing. 50 miler.
There's not a single race that Amanda will be announcing, but she will be making plans with her coaching crew, aka Justin, and maybe we'll put Nick on the Google
I can be
Doc.
part of the crew.
Hey, Amanda, let's run one together.
I'll crew both of you. Done. We've
Oh,
locked
that
it
I
up.
would do. I just am not. We're gonna start lower.
Yeah.
I would do
Okay,
that.
The
I'll
Vermont
pick him.
100
I'll
miler.
pick one.
Done.
I do want to run Vermont. That's
supposed to be like
that's
the
an oldie.
entry point. I always heard like
Oh,
the
I
entry
like that.
100 miler.
Just jump into a 100 miler. You got this.
No, I'm not doing that. No, I'm not doing that. But yes, that is honestly, and I think that if you've been listening to this for a while, then you know how I feel about. I really love the marathon and I really love the running community, but every time I talk to Justin, I feel like I was born in the wrong place because, or that I should have been a trail runner or an ultra runner, because everything that y'all do naturally, you're incredibly inclusive. You don't give a fuck about time. You're not trying to operate in a deficit. Everything that you guys stand for, the community, is something that I really love about running. And I hope that people, and if anyone listening to this, you may never want to run an ultra in your life, and that's totally okay. But I think that the takeaways today and how they can apply to road racing, or even if you never sign up for a race again, but you're a roadie, like, they all apply to the running community, and we should be taking them. We shouldn't be taking ourselves seriously, but we should be taking these tips seriously for ourselves.
Yeah, I love that,
Yeah.
Amanda.
I mean, today I ate a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and ran a 17:30 pace.
Hey.
If that's
For
not
20
joy,
miles.
I don't know what is.
That's perfection.
Yeah.
Perfection.
Delicious.
I like to get out to a place like I trail run, right? Obviously, we understand that. And I'm out in this trail, and I talk to the friends that I'm with, and I'm like, how many people do you think have been here? Like this spot right here. Very few people on earth have been to that spot.
So
And
cool.
I think that's just the coolest thing, that my body can move me to get out and climb 4,000 feet up and peak a dome. You know, we don't call it, they're not mountains. They're mountains, but they're not mountains. But, you know, up there hitting summits, like very few people have been out there. And I just think that's the coolest thing, that I'm here right now in this time, in this space up there. I love it. Love everything.
It's so cool.
I don't often get FOMO, but that experience is giving me FOMO.
I like
It's
it.
giving me FOMO, so I'm into it.
Amanda,
Can I ask you guys a question?
Oh, we don't get that ever. It's new.
I know. I thought, since I'm coming on between two coaches, and I myself am a coach, and let me give you a little bit of backstory. Amanda and I, you know, we converse a little bit. She's a marathon coach. I'm not a marathon coach. I coach more trail ultra runners. I also coach.
We're going to disagree about whatever.
I also coach marathoners, but we had a
You do.
discussion the other day about marathon coaching, and this question was brought to me in my mind, of all things, how my mind operates sometimes. Would you guys ever consider coaching ultra runners?
I do. I coach a couple.
Well, Nick's also done. You've also done an
I
ultra.
guess.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware of that when I wrote my question down,
Oh,
but I thought
see.
I already wrote it down, so let me go for it.
Ooh.
Like,
Even if so yes, because I've coached ultras, I feel a little like I've coached people running 100 miler. That's probably a tiny bit outside my range, but like they really wanted the support, and like I knew how to program right enough, and so they felt comfortable in the fueling plan, because I was like, I'm gonna need help there getting you 20-30 hours of fueling plan. But like they felt comfortable with that. They just needed to do a plan to help them feel comfortable tackling the mileage, and I felt comfortable doing that. So I do take on them if they do like really some of these really hardcore technical races. Like I would reach out to experts for some expertise, but I would also be aware to my athlete and be like, hey, like that's a little outside, like, you know, you're going to take 30 hours, you have 20,000 vert, like it's a very technical course, like, et cetera, et cetera. I will help you because we've been working together if they're moving up towards if it's someone I'm already working with. But I was like, I'll probably get some help too to make sure like I'm supporting you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate that you being aware of your own capabilities and your own limitations, knowing you haven't done a 100-miler before, but you're willing to get someone to that point and reaching out to different people to help you out. I definitely appreciate that.
I would agree with Nick. I think that for me personally, I'd want to experience, I'd want to experience the distance in my body myself before coaching it. That's just me, and that's also how I operate as a fitness professional. I will never program, and I have never programmed a burpee in any of my classes or for any of my clients because I've done them and they're fucking stupid, and no one is. It's a lot of really bad form that I see move after move after move compounded, and it's chaotic. So if I'm not going to do it myself and I'm going to commit to it, I'm not going to program it for my clients. So that's kind of just how I operate as a fitness professional. That's a really good question.
Yeah.
Got you guys.
We now have secret questions for you.
Ooh!
You didn't get to see them, so
Ooh.
they're hidden behind a secret folder.
That's because I forgot about them, Justin.
But our secret interview questions that are all our listeners know about, but you do not, unless you've listened.
Ooh.
Then you do.
Justin is a listener, but he doesn't
I am a
listen that
listener,
well.
yeah.
He doesn't
Okay.
listen
Well,
that
maybe
well.
he
I
knows
know
them.
that.
But first question: what's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Slow down. Take it all in. Actually, that's not true. It's also my mantra on ultra racing. It's don't be a hero in the first half and don't be a bitch in the second.
I knew that.
Yeah,
I knew that he
that's
loves
my
that
mantra. I had someone tell me that before my first 100-miler, and it's become who I am. I love it. I love everything about it. So, yeah, don't be a hero in the first half. Don't be a bitch in the second. And you can use it for anything.
Yeah.
Because every 5K that I get forced to run, I become a complete bitch in the second half for sure.
Everyone does. That's what they do.
5K is just hard from the start.
Yeah, can we just get rid of that distance already? Just get rid of it. Leave it in the Olympics, but like everybody else, we don't need to I don't need to go out and run the turkey trot.
No, I've never signed up for a 5K.
I have. I've run a lot.
I actually won a 5K in sandals.
Hey.
It's actually I know Amanda doesn't frequent Strava, but that's my little Strava tag. Is I once won a 5K in sandals.
That's a flex.
Yeah.
You'll have to come to listen to Golden Hour Adventures to hear that story.
You have to go back in the archives.
Go back in the archives. Yeah.
All right.
Do you want to ask the next one, Amanda? You want me to ask it?
No, you got the doc.
I got the doc.
It's all you,
All
baby
right.
boo.
It's all me. What's one thing that people are generally surprised to find out about you? Besides your last name pronunciation.
Well, yeah, my last name is not pronounced right, but I'm kind of a nerd. So I'm a big Harry Potter fan. I've read the books multiple times. I've watched the movies every single year around Christmas time. I have the Deathly Hallows, the Elder Wand, and casting a bear Patronus on my arm tattooed. Yeah, I love everything fantasy. So I read all kinds of fantasy books. And by read, I mean I listen to audiobooks, but I am a reader. So if anyone has anything to say about that, hit me up because I'll explain.
To his face. I'm aligned with you on that. I think that's in the same lane as folks like I saw this guy on Threads yesterday say like if you run slower than 12 minutes per mile, that's not running. Yeah, you're an elitist and get well soon. Yeah. Same thing with reading. If you're like, well, audiobook is technically not reading.
Yeah,
okay,
whatever.
Susan, sit down.
But yeah, I listened to like tons of fantasy books and probably some that you would never expect that I've listened to. So
where are we at with Lord of the Rings?
I'm not a Lauder fan. I'm more of a Hobbit fan.
Right.
So
not you saying the acronym. So serious.
I come on. I know. Yeah, I'm a Hobbit fan,
Okay.
so I've actually never read Lauder.
Yeah.
I've watched the movies and didn't care too much for them, so that didn't drive my interest to read the War and Peace novel. So
Yeah.
but yeah, I've read some smut. Got to get in there a little bit too, see what's going on. But not a big fan of it. But I have read it. So, but yeah, big Harry Potter fan, big nerd fan. Love everything about it. So you never know what I've got in my AirPods when I'm running.
That's awesome. I am also a big nerd, so I feel that.
Love it.
Last,
I'm not. I'm really cool.
yeah. Well,
I'm
We
as
just-
nerdy
we-
as it gets, just not fantasy books.
yeah.
Oh, they're amazing.
I
I'll
know,
just I'll throw a couple your way and see what you think.
Yeah, I just read about my nerdy thing is, you guys know this. I love reading about investing and finance and
That's
Yeah.
the wrong kind of nerdy.
fake
Just
nerd.
Looking
fake
for a
nerd
man in
stuff.
finance, 6'5", blue eyes.
That's me. That's me.
Oh.
My personality is at least 6'5". All right.
Uh.
So last question, right?
Last question. We have
oh.
3, and this is
Whoa.
the third. What's something you wish more people understood about ultra running?
Oh, that's a good one. What is something wish more people would think? You got me on that one. That we're not that weird. We
Just
like
don't base
bright.
it on this podcast.
Yeah. We like bright colors. We like to eat the craziness at aid stations, but we're not that weird. We're normal people. You can come up and talk to us on the street. We're okay. We're fun, but
They're not on the street though.
Yeah,
they're
they're
not.
not. You're gonna find them there.
but you'll never find us on the street. We're on the road, on the trails. So, yeah, I think that, we're normal people, but we really like to have fun. I've been, trying to express that this whole time is trail running is a lot of fun and the community is great. And if you're on the edge of jumping into a trail run, whether it be half marathon, or ultra distance, like just go for it. Sign up for the race. You're going to have a great time. I promise you.
Love that.
I think there's a better way to act it.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Justin, for joining
Absolutely,
us.
it was a
Wait,
blast.
before we close out, Justin, how can people find you? Where can they find you
Ooh.
on the internets?
The internets. Yes, you are seeing it as Amanda is doing it. You can find me on Instagram at Running in Stash. You can find me on Twitter at Running in Frozen Stash. Frozen for I run in the wintertime. And so -38 was my coldest run this year, 15 miles, -38. So I feel like that handle is appropriate. Running in Frozen Stash on TikTok, Running in Stash on Instagram. If you're interested in ultra running coaching, you can find a link in my bio and hit me up and let's talk about it.
Awesome. Amanda, want to take us out?
Taking us out, guys. It's 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. Bedtime
4:30
is
Alaska
in.
time.
Bedtime is in approximately 19 minutes after I have to have my mac and cheese first. Well. Thank you all so much for joining us. Justin, thank you. I have a bad feeling we're going to hear from you again here.
Love it.
Thank you everyone who's listening. Thank you everyone who's watching. We hope you enjoyed this episode. You could reach out to us, myself, Nick, or Justin at any time. You can reach out to Between Two Coaches at Between2, that's TWO coaches at gmail.com. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Peace out, everybody.
Peace.